Well, YouTube froze, which is annoying. My whole app crashed and froze, so I have to start over, which means everyone is gone. And I don't know if anyone even knows or what, but I'm gonna get on my phone and use my account to go back to my other screen and try to let people know. Yeah, man, this is really annoying. This is probably the 5th time YouTube has froze in the middle of a live stream, which is kind of a annoying thing. So I'm gonna go in my other link and post and try to let people know that I'm here. Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good. Yeah, not everyone has the notifications. It's kind of annoying. All right. So where were we? The video was interrupted. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it died. That was dumb. All right, so what was I talking about? Let's see. I think I was talking about the spore powder and the benefits of being grown on hardwood. Nice. Man. Interesting. Yep. So I was talking about why reishi was grown on hardwood in that way, and in general, I just said because that's how reishi should be grown. I don't know if that's a satisfactory explanation, but I think I answered that question. I don't know. Basically, if you could only buy one reishi product, buy the mushroom fruiting body extract. But if you have extra money and you're a reishi nerd, you want to try something new, try the spore powder, see which one you like. 'Cause they're both great. They just do slightly different things, but kind of also similar, same things. But they're just good because they're reishi, and reishi is awesome. Under what circumstances do you use deer antler? I've used it a little bit recently just to support some of the practices that I was doing, but I think I'm going to lay off of it for a while because it's a little too yang. It's a little too heating. So unless you're doing a specific practice that can utilize that, or you've developed your mind to the capacity that energy doesn't feed sexual thoughts, then sure, but I'm not yet at that level fully, so I'm gonna lay off and take it. I've never heard of Ryan Cropper in my life, but I'm gonna go ahead and type it in on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, yeah. What's the question again? I mean, just looking at it, I'm not interested, and I don't care. Because it's like signs of spiritual awakening. You're not crazy. You're just waking up. It's like, oh man, really? Spiritual YouTubers unite. My 4-day ayahuasca experience. How to do telepathy. How to move your stagnant energy. The difference between real and false chakras. I mean, the thing is those types of channels are a dime a dozen, and These people generally have no clue what they're talking about. For example, classically the sign that your root chakra is open is that you can wave your hand and control the energy of everyone in the room. Or you can move shit, physical objects, with your hand. That's the classical sign that your root chakra is open. So no one has that ability. So thereby the whole chakra thing is a complete and utter waste of time and energy. It's a broken method, and no one actually has any real attainment or skill within that methodology or tradition, i.e. Kundalini and chakras. That's classically what it's understood as to be. So there's what's actually real and what actually has been real. And then there's kind of everything else that people have made up and imagined in their sort of fantasy world. So that shit is just silly to me. But I mean, I guess people all need some fantasy, I guess, or something. So there's this guy to feed it to them. Let's see. What tea brewing do you usually do? Thoughts on Keurigs? I've never actually used Keurig in my life, so no clue. What tea brewing technique do you do? Well, I use a Yixing pot and I brew it, I guess, Gong Fu style is generally what I do. Because I think that's, in general, the best way to get the most out of the tea. Assuming you have some skill in it, which is not difficult to acquire, just takes some practice and some time. And you can absolutely get some tea skill. So that's what I do. I have 4 or 5 Yixing pots and I brew them in there. What's your opinion on tinctures? How do they compare to powdered extracts? It's funny, I was talking about this earlier. Someone asked if I'll ever sell liquid extracts again. And actually from a business perspective, tinctures and liquid extracts, you make a lot more money on because they're way weaker and way more potent and generally cheaper to manufacture. So that's my opinion of it. I think it's kind of a financial ripoff and not that potent or effective. But also a powdered extract could be the same thing. It kind of just depends on really what it is. So I'm generally not a fan of those types of products, and I don't sell them. Even though it would make way more sense from a financial business perspective, because you make way more money, and people go through it and consume it more because they have to take more because it's less potent. But what fun would that be? All right, so let's see what else. I think a few people wanted me to talk about the Agarwood and the incense, or the Agarwood and sandalwood, some of the benefits and the usages of such things. So I can do that in a bit, but let me answer these questions first. When was the last time you had Schisandra? I had a tincture of from a certain company recently, and honestly it just kind of tasted like crap and didn't make me feel very good, and I need to throw it away. I could tell a funny story about that batch of the tincture, but maybe I will. I'm not going to affirm or deny that that's the company it's from, but I'm not going to say yes or no that was the company that it was from, but I'll tell you a funny story about that liquid extract and how it relates to the Schisandra website I used to have. But again, not naming any names, not naming any companies. So I had the website lucidaire.com, right? And I was selling the organic Schisandra. And I was buying the powder, which was a freeze-dried extract. They tried this other extraction technique for a while, but then they went back to the freeze-drying. So I was buying it in these like 40 or 80 pound bags. It was very expensive, super not cheap, super expensive all around, but the quality was pretty good. So I've been buying it for, however long I had that website. And my whole thing about that website was, this is the best Schisandra you can get. It is fresh. It's just like the raw fruit. It's pink. It's bright red. It's vibrant. It's all these things. So I'm talking up all this stuff, making all these claims. And then I start to get complaints from customers like, hey, I got your Schisandra because you said it was this on the website, but it's like this weird brown color, or it's super dark, or it's super mealy and seedy, or it's all these things. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Send me pictures. So I got pictures and I'm like, whoa, this is like really oxidized and it's really like seedy and just not good. So long story short, I had lots of people that were mad, lots of people that I had to refund because rightfully so, the product was not what I claimed that it was, and it wasn't good, and I wouldn't take it personally, meaning I wouldn't take it on a personal basis. So my reputation was damaged a little bit because I was making a claim and not delivering on it at no fault of my own, and little did I know until much later. So had to refund all this stuff. So I'm out all of that money and time and energy and stress and negativity from people. And then I'm out the money that I spent on the raw materials. And let's say it was like $5,000 or $6,000 plus packaging, plus labels, plus shipping, plus all that. So let's say I was into it for, let's just say $8,000, just whatever. So that's all in the hole. So then I email the supplier and I say, hey, this is what's happening. All these customers are upset. They're complaining. I've had to refund them. And their response was, oh, well, your customers just don't know what they're talking about and you need to educate them. And I was like, I don't think that's the issue here. And they're like, no. We don't offer refunds. There's nothing wrong with our product. It's not our fault. It's not our problem. You need to figure that out and sort that out with your customers. Like, you just need to educate them and tell them, about how good it is. And I'm like, this is not what I call customer service or any good business practice. Like, I'm not an idiot. My customers aren't idiots. Why are you being like this? All sales are final, no refunds, there's nothing wrong, leave us alone, was basically the message. So I'm like, all right, well, let's go ahead and cancel my next order because I had another order, already there at my packaging facility to be packaged. So I'm like, look, let me just, send this back and let's just cancel it and be done with it. So like, okay, sure, send it back and we'll take a look. And then so I send it back and they're like, oh yeah, okay, so we got it. Turns out the batch we sent you had been shipped around to like 3 different facilities because of various reasons. And I guess in that process, it would have had oxidized, but we didn't know it. So I'm like, so you sent me a shitty batch. Basically, you sent me some garbage leftover batch that was oxidized and not at all good or usable. So that was it. And I was like, I don't have anything to do with you or this company. I'm done with the website because this is just too much. It's not how I do business. It's not how I want to do business. It's not the type of relationship I want to have with anyone. It's just shady all around. So long story short, getting back to the Schisandra tincture question, turns out that degraded, oxidized, leftover, kind of pimped out batch that had been shipped to probably 5 facilities at this point. Then when I got the tincture sometime later, I was like, wait a minute, this is a liquid extract made from this garbage. So they basically were like, let's take this leftover trash, tincture it into a liquid, and then sell it as a product. And then that was the last Schisandra I took, which is why I tasted it and it was terrible and I threw it in the trash. So that's the long story short about my last time taking Schisandra. Again, not naming any names, not pointing anyone out, just kind of sharing very honestly what happened and what went down and just how ridiculous it was, which if you remember that website, that's why I shut it down and that's why I closed it. And actually yeah, that's it. Let's see. What's being expressed on the image behind you? That's basically, in some sense, an alchemical calendar in the most simple explanation, but I can't really explain it because I don't have the knowledge and because it's far exceeding complexity and I think intellectual capacity for myself. And probably all of us combined could not understand that because it's some very high level type of thing. But I just kind of have it because it looks cool and it's something to strive for and to hopefully be able to understand to some degree someday. Are you interested in any other fragrant woods aside from sandalwood and agarwood? Not really. I mean, there's not that many others. None are as intriguing and mystical as agarwood. Second to that might be sandalwood, but even still, that's a little bit much. So, yeah. Last time you took cordyceps, a few days ago in my morning elixir. But I probably won't take it for a while because I don't really need any more yang at this point. So, yeah. But I ran out of lion's mane and I finally got some more back in yesterday and today. So I'm going to be actually hitting that a lot harder because I really, really like lion's mane. And I was sad to run out of it, so I was just doing reishi and cordyceps in midst. Let's see. Do you still drive a Challenger? I never drove a Challenger. You may be thinking of another YouTuber because I never had a Dodge Challenger. Do you do Hoshu Woo? Do you do that regularly? I did for the last month. I was doing it pretty much every morning, but I think I ran out. So not doing it regularly anymore. I need to get some more. But that's kind of how I'll do it. I'll just get a bag, take it, run out, and then take something else, and then get more. And then I just kind of a bit more random with it at this point. But I didn't really take Hoshu that regularly for the last few years just because I was focusing on other things. And I honestly kind of OD'd on it. For like 5 years, I hit it really hard. So I had to take some time off from it and figure out to take some, some other things. Do you still do things to minimize EMF exposure? I mean, I have this Safe Shield case on my phone. I don't know if it really does what they say, but in essence, it's supposed to redirect the EMF away from you so it's not going into your brain. I also just use it because it's really convenient and a decent case. I used to use a grounding mat and a grounding sheet, but I don't do that anymore because I'm actually trying to avoid contact with the earth at this point it's in time, or for the next, probably the rest of my life. I'll be avoiding contact barefoot with the earth, but so I don't use my grounding stuff anymore for those reasons. So I guess not really. I guess I don't do anything. Actually, I think my boxers are supposed to be EMF reducing. They have bamboo and silver thread, which is supposed to allegedly block certain spectrum of the EMF. So I guess that's the extent of my anti-EMF plan. Also building my yang qi to such a strong degree that my field is stronger than EMFs and stronger than things around me so that it doesn't affect me anymore. I guess that's my long-term strategy. Let's see. The carnivore diet is trending. Other than cultiness, any thoughts on it from an Eastern perspective? I don't know. I didn't even know it was really trending. I guess I heard Jordan Peterson was on it, but other than that, I don't really know anything about it. I don't keep up with it, and I don't really have any perspective on it from a Eastern perspective, let's say. But I mean, if it works for people, then cool. But we'll see about the long-term consequences. In some ways, it's like they're removing mostly everything that's causing them gut inflammation. So there's that. But yeah, I don't know, man. Need to check their kidney health. It'd be interesting to have someone who was very skilled in pulse diagnosis be able to take their pulse and see what's actually going on with their organs versus what measly scientific type charts can actually read and quantify. Which is generally not a lot in some cases. Is it harmful to be constantly taking supplement capsules every day? I don't think so. I mean, unless those capsules are made out of like lead or mercury, then you should be all right. But I mean, if it's just a cellulose or veggie caps or gelatin, then it's really not a big deal. I don't see what the issue would be. But yeah. But I just got, I think I just got some books and some packages delivered. So let's do something weird and check my mail. See what I got. Let's see, got some straight up junk, of course. Always got to have your daily dose of junk mail. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah. All right. Got some packages. But what packages did I get? All right. I'm going to open these packages up on the live stream, which I guess is a little bit voyeuristic, but what are you going to do? All right, I ordered some books. So people always ask me, what books do you read or recommend? Here's some books I'm about to read. One is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. I like this dude quite a lot. I watched his podcast recently on Tim Ferriss's podcast. He's been making his rounds quite a lot, so highly recommend it. Highly recommend on getting educated financially because it's not common information. And then got this book, Classic Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is the an updated version, I think. Let's see when it was printed. Yeah. This is like classic OG financial whatever. But yep, so I'll be reading the first book first and then probably intermittent through this book. But it's basically just good basic common knowledge that probably a lot of us did not get unless we were very lucky. So let's see what my other package. This package is actually from myself. So let's see. Of course, I can't really open it. It's one of these like plastic fucking wraps. Here we go. Let's see, what did I send myself from myself? That's the question. All right, got more lion's mane and 90s sinking shung. This is actually going to go to a client because I didn't have any at my house and I need to ship some teas from here. So this is going to a client. This is going to go in my body. So those are the packages that I got. Hopefully it answers, because people are always asking me about, books and whatnot. Let's see. Have you ever been interested in trading stocks, fixed commodities? I did have an interest in pursuing it for a while, but it's one of those things I think you have to kind of be a maniac to do, and you have to spend a lot of time on your computer, and you got to be like plugged into the market and the news and doing all this stuff. And I'm not interested in doing that. I want to spend less time on technology. So I tend to do more mutual fund type situations that I don't have to be plugged in all the time. But yeah, I did consider it for a while, but then I'm like, dude, I don't want to be on the computer. I don't want to be dealing with this. So, yep. How often do you use the oven? Pretty much every day. I don't always reheat things in the oven, but I use the stovetop and the oven top, the burners every day to cook food. And cooking more food is something I've been doing more lately, and I've been trying to do more as well, and I want to do more in the future. Just because for a lot of years I ate out all the time, meaning for many years I ate out 3 meals a day, which gets expensive. But for me, it was just kind of a convenience cost that I was willing to pay because I didn't feel like dealing with that aspect. But now it's actually sometimes more convenient for me to eat at home because I don't feel like going out and wasting that time. And it's also just cheaper, and the food's better. I can control it, and it's just better generally all around. So I tend to cook a lot more. I started off with just 1 meal a day, and then I've worked up to 2 meals a day, and then eventually hopefully cook everything at home on a regular basis. But I just live around so many good restaurants and food carts and things like that it's really easy to eat out quite a lot. Not to mention tons of delivery services and really good stuff you can get. So, do you tend to eat more cooked foods over raw foods, hot liquids over cold? I pretty much never eat raw foods. I mean, I might have a small side salad or some fruit, but that's the extent of it. Everything else is cooked. Everything else is warm. Cold liquids, I mean, I'll drink coconut water from the refrigerator, but I don't prefer cold or ice things. I prefer room temp or hot. So I don't really believe in the whole raw food thing. I think it's kind of a crock of nonsense. Do you, when winter or fall rolls around, get a pressure cooker? I actually have an Instapot, and I'll make a lot of, I haven't used it in a while actually. I need to do it again because it's really easy to just throw a bunch of stuff in there. But I was making soups and stews in there on a regular basis. It's a good reminder though, I need to start using that again because it's pretty amazing. I really like the Instapot. Thoughts on anorexia/bulimia? I guess, what do you mean? I think it really probably comes down to sometimes establishing a sense of control. I think people might be led to those behaviors because there's also orthorexia, which is really quite common. And if you're not familiar with what that is, you need to research it, watch some documentaries on it because it's a real thing. Basically, people experience a lot of external uncertainty, external chaos, trauma, whatever. So they try to find something they can control, they can find certainty and stability in, and then sometimes that becomes food and eating or not eating. They can control it, they can control this thing, but then it's partially what I've mentioned many times on this live stream. Our capacity for delusion and lying to ourselves is huge. And then if you put that in an echo chamber and then turn up the dial on anxiety and fear and all these distorted perceptions and put all those things together and then combine it with something as a powerful drive as food, can be a really really bad scene. Just like people that get really into other distortions of base desires, it just can be a source of escape and addiction masking as something else, but in essence can be a real function as just a coping mechanism. So ultimately the long-term thing is looking at what's actually going on and then trying to sort it out and deal with it and find some actual ability to be stable, to be calm, to be centered, to be at ease, to feel okay. Because if we understand trauma as, in a simple sense, anything that inhibits our ability to feel at ease, to feel comfortable, at home, to feel okay, to feel at ease and at rest and centered, then there's a lot of things that can fit into that category. So a lot of that is external, yes, but then a lot of it is internal that people are consistently doing to themselves. And that needs to be worked through and stopped, I think, in the long term. Do you ever water fast? Definitely not. Not really a fan of fasting, and especially not water fasting. But yeah, not down with it. Do you forage for foods? Not really anymore. I mean, I guess I could. I've done a few classes, but I'm not really that into it, and it's not really on my agenda or radar. Do you drink kombucha? Not really anymore, just because I found it eventually to be too sweet and too actually acidic, so it starts to eat away your tooth enamel. And I think it's honestly a little bit overhyped. So to me, it's just more of like a slightly healthier sweet beverage. So I tend to just drink coconut water if I want that, or even drink just those sparkling waters with fruit juice in them. If I want that, I'll just go that way. And also I find that if I do those, it's actually cheaper than kombucha. So that's why I'm not really that into it anymore, but occasionally it can be good. There's a nearly entirely raw vegan practitioner and teacher of internal arts in Taiwan. He seems healthy and strong. He claims his training makes the diet work. Entirely vegan, almost entirely raw. Yeah, I mean, there's always these types of figures. There's also that one dude who claimed he was a breatharian, but he was really fit and muscular and buff. There's people who claim they're fruitarians, but they're like spiritual, but they do all these things. Like there's always people who are doing these things. So maybe they are a very rare chunk of the population that could actually make that work. Maybe they're lying. Maybe the bottom will fall out on their thing eventually. Maybe it's a temporary phase. They can get away with it for a while. I mean, who really knows? But the fact of the matter is, anyone who is actually generating a lot of yang qi or building yang qi in their body, they're not going to be a fucking vegan. They're not going to be a raw vegan. If they're actually doing any type of intense neigong or moving any strong degree of internal vibration through their system, they're going to eat a lot of food, and they're going to be eating dense food for quite a long time. Now, he may have achieved certain things that make it possible for him to eat very little. That is entirely possible. I can think of specific practices that could lead to that result, but they are not common, they are not easy, they're not easily accessible, And it's always a mistake to assume that because someone does something, that means it's good for everyone, or it means that everyone should do it. Like maybe this guy trained 30 years, had all this potential, had all these boxes checked, and then did a certain thing and then got to a certain point. It'd be really dumb to be like, oh, I did it so everyone can do it. It's like, well, if everyone follows this exact process, maybe, but even still, not guaranteed. But again, it's just coming back to what I've been saying. People like to believe in fantasy and fairy tales. It's just like, tune into my next video where I'm going to tell you how you can get rich. How you can get rich from the government or some shit like that. You know, things like that. People are like, oh wait, that seems too good to be true. But part of me wants it to be true. So that's my rough assessment of that situation. If you want to send me the link, maybe I'll check it out and I can look at him and see if he has anything going on internally, but odds are he doesn't. Just my guess. What are some good ways to combat the heat in the summer, especially when you work outside a lot? Definitely things like coconut water, you know, lemon water, probably some herbs and stuff too. But yeah, let's see here. Nice. I didn't even know about this. That's pretty good. Oh man. Let's see. Yeah, the GT Dave video was pretty ridiculous. Let's see here. Have you ever tried HTC Vive or Oculus Rift? No, I don't think so. A friend of mine is into VR and he let me try some of the headsets, but I don't like it. I'm not really interested in it. I don't really want to do it. So I kind of quit and it kind of gave me a headache. So I haven't really tried it out because I'm not really that interested in such things. So yeah. Let's see here. What's the next question? What was your thought on GT Dave? Yeah, if you look up this video that Forbes did on GT Dave, you can see what I'm talking about. It's like I thought it was a joke, but it was actually a serious video. It's really kind of creepy and disturbing, and basically anyone who's ever seen American Psycho will look at that video and see what we're all talking about. It's really quite disturbing. So I just recommend checking it out. But I posted it on my Facebook a while ago, and it's pretty ridiculous. Let's see. What bands would you recommend? Here, I'll open my Spotify, and list off some of the top things. I don't really listen to music really at all anymore, and I haven't in the last however 3 or 4 months. Just not really interested in music anymore, and I don't listen to it really anymore at all. But here's what I used to listen to. Calm Trues. Looks like he just had a new album come out, which is cool. Coast by Christopher Willits. Let's see. Boards of Canada. Tycho. Aphex Twin. Those are definitely what I used to listen to. But that's pretty much the extent of it. If you just type in on YouTube, just type in like GT Dave Forbes, Forbes, you can see the interview that I'm talking about, and it's pretty strange, to say the least. Favorite sweets? I don't eat sweets. I haven't had any dessert or anything like that in I don't know how long. I can't really remember the last. Been a few years probably since I ate a dessert or something. I don't crave sweets. I don't like it. I don't go for it. And even like for this past month, and then probably till the end of July or August, I'm on a more sort of strict diet and lifestyle program in preparation for things. So even less going on those types of things. But anyways, yeah, it's funny. I feel like so many of my answers are just of me like, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I'm not into it. I don't do that. I don't know anything about that. It's just like the most underwhelming, unhelpful live stream. People are like, what's the difference between the reishi spore powder and the mushroom extract and the spore oil? And I'm like, I don't know. They're all good. Which one should I take? All of them. I definitely, over the years, have gotten way worse at certain things. That's for sure. Better at some things and worse at others. But I don't know. I just can't really pretend to be an expert, I guess. Let me see. I'm trying to look up something in my email, but I can't concentrate. Will the spore powder always be... Yeah, the price of the spore powder will be the same. I'm not going to raise it or lower it. But yeah, that's going to be the price of the spore powder. And let me see. Where's the link to GT Dave? Let me see. I'll see if I can post it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to log on my other account and post the link. If I can't even post links in this chat, I don't know if I can. Oh, okay. Yeah, look, he posted the link. If you just type in Forbes kombucha, yeah, like look, top result, Forbes kombucha right there. That's what you want. So just type in Forbes kombucha and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, check it out. It's gonna be really disturbing. Disturbing and entertaining. Let's see. What other questions? Whoops.
Jamie Mendez.
Let me see here. Yeah, watch that video. Let's see here. This tea's almost washed out. I liked when he just started petting a rabbit. He had a crazy amount of plastic surgery done to him. My favorite part is where he talks about how he learned to not be materialistic and to see more of an Eastern perspective on things. Let's see. Do you have any specific advice or suggestions for someone trying to recover from an eating disorder? I think you mentioned something about processing trauma. Honestly, I think in situations like this, it's probably good to work with an actual practitioner of something. Whether you find an acupuncturist or someone that you vibe with, or a naturopath, or some type of cognitive behavioral therapist, or some neuro-linguistic hypnotic type thing, you definitely want someone who's actually really intelligent and skilled, and someone you have rapport with that can give you some external basis and can help you sort through things. Because it's kind of nice with the internet, we have all this access to information and things, but also people can do Dr. Google. Like some of my friends that are naturopaths and doctors, they really complain about this phenomena of Dr. Google. Their patients come in, they're like, well, I thought I had this, and then I read this, and then I read that, and then I did this, and I did that, and I took this thing, and it's usually wrong from the perspective of my friends. And they very much complain about it. So on one hand, we're very much empowered with information and things, but on the other hand, can easily be overwhelmed and drowning in it. So I would say definitely finding someone and working with someone locally and in person, and realize that it will take time, but it's entirely doable and possible to rewrite patterns and habits and redo things. It just takes, again, time to rehabituate. But part of it is understanding what's actually destabilizing the system and causing us to reach for that type of thing. So that's a deeper issue and a bigger subject. It's like, what is causing us to not be able to feel calm and stable and at ease and at home? So that's definitely it's a few things to look at and consider. So hopefully that is helpful in answering your question. But part of it, in a more practical sense, is things I've talked about in lots of my videos, which is waking up, going to bed at regular times, eating meals at regular times, not skipping meals, moving, exercising on a regular basis. If you can work with those basic rhythms and get them kind of dialed in and harmonized, it will create a lot more stability throughout the rest of your life. Because sometimes I know people like this. I even have friends where they think they have all these complicated issues or grandiose things. And it's like, no, you just need to do this one thing because it's like screwing up your blood sugar. Like, oh, I'm feeling really ungrounded, and I think I'm having this personal processing breakthrough psychological spiritual moment, and I'm feeling this thing, and I'm going through this thing, and all this is happening, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm just like, dude, you just need to eat some food, like 3 meals a day for 6 to 12 months. Like, and usually in a shorter period of time, all that nonsense will go away. People are usually kind of just jacked up because their blood sugar is screwed up and their blood from a Chinese medicine perspective is deficient. Generally, why people are interested in all this disembodied fantasy new agey stuff is generally because their blood is deficient. Because if they do actually get their blood dialed in, then the interest and the attraction and the appealing to all that stuff kind of goes away. So it's really can't overemphasize the importance of those simple things. And also the importance of having regular routines and habits that are rewarding. Whether that's taking a walk or practicing an instrument or writing or painting or whatever it is that is interesting to you, having that routine and that basis to have something that you can go back to, that you feel a sense of control, feel a sense of fulfillment and progress within. And that can give some real much needed structure, meaning, and purpose to your life. Even on a small scale, it's still very important and very useful. So those are things that I would consider. Do you drink collagen? I do, actually. I started drinking collagen protein in my morning elixir a few months ago, just to add some more protein and caloric density, because I really quite enjoyed that. Because I was doing the bulletproof coffee for a while, but then stopped coffee, but missed the hot beverage with calories in the morning. So still do the the butter and the MCT oil, and then the collagen with like what other herbs and hot tea and stuff, because I really like having that caloric thing first thing in the morning. And this is another thing that I'll mention as it relates to the previous question about eating disorders and blood deficiency and blood sugar, is this whole thing about skipping breakfast is a really bad scene. And I wish people would stop acting like that's trendy, or it's progressive, or it's somehow like a new hip thing. It might, like, skipping breakfast might work if a person's really overweight to begin with, or they're just generally a very dense constitutional type. That might work for them. But in actuality, I think in general, it will lead to heartburn, indigestion. It will lead to metabolic issues, blood sugar imbalances, in a general sense of being ungrounded. Because this is the thing. If everyone around a person is ungrounded and kind of unstable, or just completely distracted with their own stuff, then they might look at someone and be like, wow, they're so healthy. They have so much energy. They're so this. They're so productive. But if you actually look past that and see their actual physiology, they're like, wow, they're really ungrounded, not centered, not stable, not at ease, really running on adrenaline and anxiety. And that's not healthy. Sure, you might be productive. Sure, you might look cool. You might have a good body. You might say the right speech patterns. But in reality, your organs are suffering and paying the price, and your health will suffer and pay the price over the long term. So how cool is that? It's not that cool. Let's see. Do you still offer consultations? I haven't done those in many years, actually. But I was thinking about it in recent times. But to be quite honest, I'm really conflicted, because I don't consider myself an expert. I don't have any licenses or degrees, and I don't fancy myself as an authority and or telling someone what to do. So it's a bit weird, that, and just being the whole coaching thing and life coaching and all these things, it just kind of creeps me out a little bit. It's kind of weird. So I'm hesitant from that degree. That, and sometimes there are people that want consultations from me, but sometimes I'll be like, dude, you need actual, like, real medical intervention. You don't need to be worrying about what reishi mushroom to take or how much mushroom to take. Like, you need real help. I've had some clients like that, and they'll be like, what herb should I buy for this and this and this? And I'm like, don't buy any of them. Find someone locally and get help from them. Which is a weird thing, and as a business owner, to tell people not to buy from you and to recommend not buying from you, but I do it. And I have done it when it's kind of the right thing to do, because I don't think it will really help someone, or someone's trying to treat something with this, and I'm like, it's not going to do what you want it to do. So go do other things. So those are the reasons why I'm hesitant and don't really want to get into it. Another reason is, again, people's capacity towards delusion, lying to themselves, and like this phenomena of Dr. Google. Because sometimes you get people that want to consult, but they actually just want validation. Like they want to just tell you all the things they already know that's wrong with them. And they've done 100 things, chakras and tarot and astrology and acupuncture and chakras and yoga and kundalini and ayahuasca and 100 things they've done. They know all these things, what's wrong with them, so that they're coming to you to just get the magic bullet, or like, okay, I've got it all 99% figured out, but I just need this 1% from you. And honestly, on a personal level, that's really annoying to deal with. I don't like to deal with it. I don't enjoy dealing with it. I don't enjoy people like that. Personally, I don't hang out with them. I don't want to spend time with them. And that's true in a business sense as well. Like I don't want to do consultations with people like that. And I'm not, as a caveat, I'm not saying you're like that. I'm just saying all the reasons why I don't want to do it, and then I'll eventually say some of the reasons why I have thought about it and might do it. This might be way more than you wanted to know, but it's just an honest stream of consciousness from the question that you asked. And even teaching, it's the same thing you run into, and it's just kind of annoying. But it's just part of the process where, like, for example, teaching internal arts and stuff, I'll say, do this, or this is what you need to do. Oh yeah, I already got that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I already did that. Oh yeah, I already did that. I'm like, nope, you didn't. You haven't heard what I've said. You haven't understood it. So it just gets annoying to deal with, but is kind of par for the course sometimes. So those are the reasons why I've avoided it. Again, not saying you or anyone on the live stream is like that. Just saying that I've had some clients that are like that, and it's just kind of a waste of time and money. It's a waste of their money because, like, yeah. But the reasons why I have thought of doing it is, for one, on a personal level, there's people in my life that have changed the course of my life in a positive way, that if I hadn't met them or hadn't heeded their advice at particular times, then the quality of my life would be way different, my life path would be way different. So I feel a lot of gratitude and some sense of indebtedness to those people that helped and are still helping to shape my life and guide things. So I feel some obligation to sort of pay that forward, carry that forward a bit, or perhaps be that kind of for other people. Even though when I look at myself compared to these people, there's not really a comparison at skill level. But that's one thing that does drive me, and there is a real importance in that because so much of the information that's available in the world isn't good. Unfortunately, so many practitioners of various arts and therapies aren't any good at what they do. So it just creates a weird world. And the other side of it is a lot of people are suffering or are in pain or are dealing with things that sometimes can have simple shifts or simple changes that can help them and move things on. So that is a reason that leads me to do it. Also, the fact that a lot of people are suffering and struggling, and to be able to help and give back is a good thing, I think, is a good way to orient your life. And the other reason is just, so much of what's available just kind of sucks and is just flat out not true and just creates more confusion for people. So perhaps if I do coaching or consultations, I'm going to have to prerequisite and really pre-frame and filter people to be like, look, if you just want validation or you just want to tell me what you think, then I'm not really interested. But if you actually are open and receptive and want to have a conversation and have some actual guidance, or not even guidance, but just an outside opinion, then there's that. Because for some of my teachers and people that I talk to, it's just sometimes more like, hey, here's where I'm at, here's what I'm thinking, what do you think? Or like, can I just have your opinion? And that's it. I'm not even like, can you help me with this? Can you do this? But it's like, here's what I've already got moving forward. What do you think? And they might say, it's total trash. You need to just abandon ship and get a different course. Or they might say, yes, and here's these things. And I'm like, thanks, didn't think of that. Or thanks, glad I didn't have to like waste that extra time and energy to eventually, maybe, hopefully figure that out. So that's a 15-minute explanation to that somewhat simple question. Could have easily been yes or no, but instead it was 15 minutes of explanation. Let's see. Can you talk about the benefits of the Agarwood and sandalwood incenses? Again, I think that was supposed to be the point of the live stream, but so far I've failed in actually addressing any of the points of the live stream. So the Agarwood and the sandalwood incenses. The uses and benefits. Traditionally regarded to, let's see. Well, we'll talk about they're basically both fragrant woods, which have been used in Chinese medicine to break up phlegm and damp. So in many ways, let's say we could use them to stabilize the mind, stabilize the emotions, and have some enhanced clarity of perception and more connection to our sense of spirit. And this has traditionally been the association of both of these woods for a very long time, especially Agarwood. It's been used for meditation, for spiritual purposes for quite a long time, same with sandalwood, and they absolutely do support that in a profound and tangible way. I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day, and it clicked for him because he'd been into it, the Agarwood, for a month or two, probably about a month, and it clicked for him where he woke up in the middle of the night, was like not able to sleep, was feeling kind of agitated, disturbed, burned a little bit of Agarwood, and then it immediately calmed him down, cleared his head, and he went back to sleep. And that's one thing that it can do. The downside of that is if you don't have any internal skill or sensitivity or receptivity or any ability to listen, then you're not going to get a lot out of it. Because on the spectrum of like pharmaceuticals, Glade plugins, Agarwood and sandalwood are way, way, way off, way on the other end of intensity and potency in terms of what's going to be in your face. So it's one of those things, kind of like tea, kind of like anything, many things in life. The more aptitude and the more sensitivity and skill you develop, the more you get out of it. So the more you actually get familiar with those woods, the more skill you get to be able to listen and smell, the more you'll get out of it. Like the oil I'm wearing now, I get way more out of it now than I did 2 months ago because I have more time with it. I know it better. My brain is more familiar with it, and I've developed a deeper sense of receptiveness as I've gotten internally a bit quieter. So it's just one of those things. And I just say that to really set the expectation, because it's just kind of a prerequisite, which if you're listening to this live stream, if you're on my channel, you're taking these types of herbs, you're already pretty well pre-framed to enjoy these types of things, because you're already probably the type of person who's a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more kind of in tune or creative. So it's already a little bit more in your framework. I'm just speaking more of like, if someone's just a straight up type A corporate person who's entirely left-brained, they might not really, get out of it. Even like the oil, like I can smell this now and I get way more out of it because partially my frame of experience has grown a lot, so I can see it for really what it is. But then on another note, I have friends who I told them about Agarwood. They got the incense, they burn it. The first stick, they're like, "Whoa, this really chilled me out and changed the quality of the space." So I used it a lot over the winter time because where I'm at in the winter, we don't really get much sun. Even today, there's kind of no sun. It's really gray. In most years, I would get kind of down, lethargic, low energy, a little bit depressed. But anytime I would ever feel the slightest inkling of that, this past winter, I would just burn some Agarwood, smell it, boom, depression, heaviness, any of that stuff just gone, clear, centered, focus, ready to go about my day. So that's kind of the main thing that it's used for. And it's an aroma, it's a scent, but there's also a textural, visceral quality to it. It almost becomes like food in a way, where I've had experiences before where I'll just crave burning some wood. Like I'll be out and I'm like, man, I really can't wait to get home to burn this wood and just feel it and smell it. Because when I burn the wood, especially in front of some of the art pieces that I have, the whole frequency of my room changes and I get warmer and things start moving inside of my body to a stronger, more noticeable degree. And then I burn it before I'll train, before I'll do any type of sitting practice or just burning, hanging out, having tea. Or lately I'll just sit on the couch and either smell the oil or burn some wood or burn the incense, and just, it almost becomes its own practice. It's like listening to music. I guess listening to music is actually kind of the best way to describe it, because you hear a song once, or at least this is how it's for me. I hear it once and I'm like, I can tell I like it or I don't usually. And I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. But then I keep going back to the song and I keep getting more out of it, hearing things that I didn't hear, those types of things. And the incenses are just like that. The more you use it and you get familiar with it, the more you'll get out of it, the more you'll notice, the more you'll pick up on, the more you develop that skill and that sensitivity, the more benefits you'll get. So definitely can't recommend that enough. And the other side of it is fragrant woods and incenses and these types of things used to be a practice, or used to be kind of a form of herbal medicine that was practiced alongside acupuncture and body work and herbs and these things, because they had old pharmacies where you'd get herbs powdered into these little squares or pellets that you could then take home and burn, and you get this herbal medicinal effect. You get a treatment in essence by just burning this thing and breathing it in and it being in your space. You're getting like a medical treatment. So in many ways, I feel like the Agarwood and sandalwood are kind of like Reishi, where it's like you just burn it and in your space, you're getting a treatment, you're getting a dose, but it's from the outside. So that's really, it's a lot of the benefits and the usages. It's a very deep cultural thing. It's a very old tradition, and it's a deep, 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 deep world that I've only just been exploring over the past year, and it's just like I'm completely obsessed, spending a lot of my free time online buying new oils. And actually, earlier I was distracted looking at my phone because I'm buying a really high quality oil from someone, and he was just messaging me back that I can send him payment and he'll ship it out tomorrow. So I was like waiting on that, so that'll be quite nice. There's also, lastly, just an element to these woods that can kind of be psychedelic, kind of be drug-like, but also not in the sense of it's actually balanced and balancing and centering. So let's see. So yeah, that's what hopefully that explains a bit more about the Agarwood and the sandalwood incense. So basically the incense and the oils is something I'll probably be expanding more. I have quite a few other oils that I've been sampling. that I'll be eventually offering. So hopefully at a certain point I'll have a whole line of incense and oils that I can offer alongside the herbs and alongside these other things. So let's see. When you're getting new products to use, how do you know whether or not something is of high quality or not if it's something new to you? Do you mean me personally or what my advice would be to you? Because I have kind of my own formula that I've talked about a little bit. But part of it is that, well, for me, I already have a baseline of knowledge in a handful of other arenas, so I can use that as a basis for other things to be able to discern quality. But in terms of for you, I would say partially the two things. Part of it is like ascertain and clarify what are your goals, what you're looking for, what would you like, and then also be open to other things bigger than that, and then also listen to your body and how you feel, and develop this muscle or this reflex to actually have discernment, which is how to tell if something is right for you or not. And I don't know how you would really do that other than just doing it, other than just trying things, other than listening to feelings that you have inside of yourself, desires, appetites, drives, urges, or just nudges, and then comparing that with actions that you take and what the outcomes are. And you kind of just have to analyze that. And then over time, you kind of refine that and get a deeper understanding and a deeper skill set. So hopefully that makes sense and answers your question. But hopefully my thing didn't freeze again, because this is kind of annoying. It looks like the video froze, but let me know if the audio is still coming through. This is like the second time it's frozen today. Can you hear the audio or can you see the video still? Because the video on my end is totally frozen. So that's kind of annoying. Oh, great. Nice flattering image. Yeah, this is the second time this has happened today. So I guess I'll probably dip off of here then, since I've already been streaming for a few hours and I've been drinking a lot of tea and I really have to pee. Because I've been drinking tea and water for the last few hours and I need to pee. So hopefully you've enjoyed this podcast, or not podcast, live stream, whatever it is. Sorry for the technical difficulties. But thanks for all of your questions. Thanks for tuning in. And again, check out Hyperion Herbs to learn about the new products. I posted 3 new teas and 3 new teas, the Reishi spore powder, and the 2 incenses. So check those out. And I will be posting up more videos again probably next week, or definitely next week. I already have them filmed and scheduled out. So there'll be more stuff coming next week and more live streams. So anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for your questions. Remember to check the video I posted before this, where I asked for reviews on Hyperion Herbs products. If you've liked them or taken them and enjoyed them, post a quick review on the website. That would be helpful. And then I have a Google form that I linked asking for your video ideas. So if you have questions that you want me to answer, or you want me to do a video on a subject, put it there, and then I can spend time thinking about it and put together a whole video on whatever subject or video you want to see me do. So it'll help me kind of give you the content you actually want to see, and I think that'll be cool. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Sorry for the technical